Well, good evening, everybody. This is probably not going to be the most exciting slideshow or video that you've ever seen. What I'm actually going to do, or I'm going to try to attempt to do as quickly and concisely as I can, is I'm going to outline for you how it is that I take a chapter in OpenStax and turn it into a Google slideshow. And I'm going to show you a few tricks that I've learned because you are going to get assigned one of these chapters yourself, and you're going to have to build a slideshow from it just like I do. So watch my easy to follow tips. First thing I want to do is I want to figure out where in my drive I want to put it. I've decided to put it in my astronomy folder. I made a new folder called Galaxies. And once I'm in this folder, go straight from here, click New, and then I'm going to click New Google Slides. Go ahead and create it. Now, to make it easier for me to move back and forth from this to my other stuff, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in a separate window. So I'm going to kind of grab it and drag it down and let go. And what that lets me do is it lets me hit Alt and Tab to jump back and forth from window to window. So I'm going to Alt Tab over. Actually, I'm not sure it's going to let me do that with the recording here. So let me. You can also do a 3-finger swipe down. And I don't know if I'm still there or not. So maybe I'm not going to be able to do that. But I'm going to just grab this and drag it back up to my other set here. That's going to slow things down a little bit, but that's really okay. Anyway, come over to the chapter that I'm outlining, which is going to be section 25.1. It's called The Architecture of the Galaxy. Since this is going to be over galaxies, the first thing I want to do is I want to pick out a decent background. So I have cheated and I've gone ahead and done an image search for galaxy. I'm going to pick out something that's decently high resolution so it won't look yucky when you zoom in on it, and something that's either mostly light so I can use dark text, or mostly dark so I can use light text. I'm really liking that purple right there. That right there seems probably pretty simple, but I think I've done enough that look like that before. So I'm going to go with this really wicked cool looking one here. I'm going to save this image. I'm just going to go ahead and stick it in the same folder where my slideshow is so I can find it again later. And I'm just going to call it like Galaxy Back. And you can see I've got it there. So when I come back into my presentation, I'm going to do a right click or 2-finger click on my slide. I'm going to click Change Background. I'm going to pick an image from Google Drive, and I can probably just click Recent since that's the last thing that I pulled up there. There it is. I'm going to click Insert, and I'm going to see how that looks. Okay, it works for me. And then, very important, I'm going to click where it says Add to Theme. That way, any of my other slides, it will go ahead and put that on there. So I'm going to click Done. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to title this pretty much the same title as the section. So 25.1 is the architecture of the galaxy. So that's going to be what I call this. Okay. I'm going to shrink that down just a smidge because I like things to look nice and lined up. Something else I'm going to do there is I'm going to come over here to Tools. Actually, I'm going to come to Format, Format Options. And I like to put a drop shadow on things. It just makes them kind of pop a little bit better. I'm going to put the reference down here for the chapter. It's OpenStax section 25.1. I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to put a drop shadow on that, and that'll help it to stand out. I think I'm going to pick a different color, though. And I'm just going to pick a different color from the theme colors that they give me here. That's a little bit easier to see. So on text color, see they give me some theme options. And I want something that's going to stand out against that background. Oh, that orange. It pops. It's not pretty, but I think I'm going to stick with it. And I'm going to kind of keep the same colors and same fonts so it can be consistent throughout the entire thing. So I'm going to go back to my chapter. And just to kind of, I want to take a quick glance at my learning objectives to see what are the important points I'm going to hit on. Looks like I got a little bit of history with this Herschel guy. Main components of the galaxy. So I'm probably going to have 3 main sections. I'm going to just do a quick skim through here. I'm going to check my main headings. And so again, it talks about a guy named William Herschel and his sister Caroline counting stars. I'm just kind of skimming this. I haven't really previewed it at all. I'm drawn to, because I'm, a little bit ADD, I'm drawn to pretty pictures. I'm drawn to, section headings that really stand out there. And then especially if they give me figures that kind of help to summarize some of the knowledge. So they're going to talk about Herschel. There looks like there's a sidebar with another astronomer named Harlow Shipley. I may decide to put something in there about him. I may not. Here's another big heading, disks and halos. So it looks like the diagram here is giving me a lot of info about different parts of the Milky Way galaxy. Ooh, more pretty pictures talking about some different shapes of galaxies. Okay. There's some more stuff about parts. Oh, there's a lovely data table. So there's a lot of stuff I'm going to be able to work with here. One more thing. Oh, that's cool. One more thing that I'm going to come back. Okay, and then I run out. So there's not going to be a lot of stuff here. I could probably cover this in 4 or 5 slides. I'm going to go back to where I got that image from. And I'm going to come to View File. And up here, it gives me the URL for that image. So I'm going to copy it because I want to be sure I'm doing a little bit of attribution. And I'm going to make a text box here on my first slide. Just stick it down here at the bottom. I'm going to paste that URL in. I'm going to highlight the whole thing, and I'm going to shrink that sucker way down. Because what I want to do is I want to make sure it's there. It's not going to be like the most dominant feature of the slide, but that way at least there's some attribution built in. It doesn't really stick out, and that way I give a little bit of credit for where I found the stuff from. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to click beside this plus tab here to add a new slide. I'm going to go ahead. I like to use the title and 2-column slide quite a bit. And I'll show you what I do with that. So if I've saved my image, it goes ahead and I can add a title here. I'm not going to use a lot of imagination. I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to take a look at the heading they give me, and I'm just going to steal it. Herschel measures the galaxy. Herschel. Again, I would like to put a little bit of drop shadow on that, so I'm going to go Format Options and click Drop Shadow. And there's other stuff you can play with, but I'm not going to. Now, what I typically do for a slide is I keep one of my 2 text boxes, and then the other one I just delete so that I can put in some kind of graphic. So maybe on this first one, I'm going to go ahead and click the border of that box, and I'm just going to hit backspace to get rid of it. In here, I'm going to try and summarize the major information from the chapter using bullet points. So starting off in William Herschel in 1785, he and his sister Caroline counted stars in different sections of the sky. They found most of the stars they could see lay in a flattened structure encircling the sky. and the number were about the same in any direction. So he concluded that, okay, would have been a frisbee, so it must be near the hub. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab some bits and pieces here. So I'm going to click, not that one. I'm going to click the little dot, dot, dot here, and it gives me the option here for a bulleted list, so I'm going to click that. I'm going to change my text color to that orange that's in the theme, and I'm going to add a drop shadow to it. So what year did that say it was? 1785. Let's go ahead and give her attribution too. That's only fair. I think that'll be bigger. And Caroline Herschel. I apologize, I'm having to swap tabs back and forth again here. Okay, it says that they, all right, use a large reflecting telescope, counted stars in different directions. Okay. Okay.
Do you want to brush your puppy? Yeah? Here, let's brush your puppy.
Okay. Well, let's put a period on that. Now, you might notice that it's a little difficult to see that against that background. There might be something we can do to play with that and fix it here in just a minute. I'll say they discovered.
Sit. Sit.
My daughter is brushing my dog. Okay, they discovered there were about the same number of stars. I'm recording a video. Any given direction, and that all the stars must be arrayed in a rough disc shape with some edits center. Now I notice that I'm not just like flat, gosh, they're loud. I'm not just straight up copying and pasting text, because, you know, if I want to read the text, I'm going to get in and I'm going to just read the text. If I want to summarize the information, I'm going to read through it a couple times. I'm going to kind of shorten it. Is there anything else I want to add to this first slide here? Let's go take a look. Okay, so it must be the hub of the wheel. Okay, so I want to see what other info I want to put on this. Oh, it says here that he was right about the shape of the system, but wrong about where the sun lies. Okay. It says, and that's because he could only see a very small chunk of stars. Okay. All right, so I think I can put in a statement about that. Due to limitations of his viewing method. Yes, he's talking to him. I'm recording a video. Limitations of his viewing method. He got the shape right, but our position wrong. See, diagrams. And so I'm going to put in some diagrams to kind of show what they're talking about. Before I do that, I'm going to play with the text size just a little bit to improve legibility. I might stretch this text box some. Want to leave plenty of room on the other side here. That's still a little hard to read, so I think what we're going to do, it does let us, I believe under format options, it lets us play with the background. So format options, what does reflection do? Oh no, that's awful. Let's not do that. Play with drop shadow. That doesn't really help very much. Maybe we could give it a different color shadow. Oh, that's awful. Let's not do that. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my mind about the orange, and I'm going to pick a different color for our text. Let's yellow? That's a little better, maybe. Let's go with the yellow. So on this other side here, I'm going to drag in some images from the chapter itself, because usually it gives pretty good stuff to pick from. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to do a two-finger click on this. I'm going to copy image. Come over here, do a two-finger click, and click paste. Now I want to get a lot more than just their picture on here, so I'm going to resize that from a corner. If you resize from a corner, it doesn't stretch and distort it very much, so I'll put them up here in the corner. I'd like to get this diagram here, and then I notice that there's a better diagram down here. Now I don't want to get this entire thing with this guy in it, so I'll show you how you can just snip a piece. But I do want to take this picture, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to copy image. The best thing to do would be to insert a little text box underneath each one of these to give image attribution like I showed you a minute ago. But since these are all coming from that same chapter, just having the chapter reference should be fine. If you ended up using pictures from somewhere else, you would want to put in a little reference underneath each one. Let's paste this in here. Oh, that's huge. So again, we're going to resize that down. And I may want to leave a little bit of room underneath there for a description. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just have these in here. That way I can present it and talk about it. Let me go back to that other page. Now, since I don't want to just copy this image because it would have him in there too, I just want this piece here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control, Shift, and the button above the 6. And that gives me this capture tool, which I can drag around the part that I want. I can come over here and click Copy to Clipboard. And then I can hit Paste. And see, there it is, just the piece that I wanted. I think I'm going to rearrange where I've got these, though, just to kind of help with my storytelling. I'm going to put the Herschels down here. I'm going to put this picture up here. And see, that way I've got a little bit of context for what I'm talking about. And then when I present it, I can, point out different parts of that slide, just for context. So I think I'm liking the look of this. If anything, I might bump up the size of all of my text here just a little bit. I think I like what that does. I'll play with the side here. That's not bad. Okay. Now for other slides, what I like to do just to kind of change up and increase interest here is for my next slide, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a two-finger click on this, and I'm going to duplicate my slide. So you see, here's my original slide 2, and here's my duplicate slide 3. Now what I can do is I can come in here and I can just start clicking on and deleting these pictures. I'm going to take my text box, and if you click on it here, I can either click and drag it, or if I've got it selected, I can just use my arrow keys to move it. I'll move it to the other side of my slide. And that helps, folks that are taking notes, it helps to kind of vary things up a little bit, keeps it from all being in the same place and looking boring. I would probably, after having played with this, go back and pick a different background because that bright spot there really makes it hard to see text. But see, now I can go back to my chapter, pick out the next important part. My next important part looks like it's called Discs and Halos, JLOES. So I'll come up here to my title bar. And then I can leave this intact, and all I have to do to select on my text is just hit Control A, and then it's already ready to start a new bulleted list for me. I can go through that next section and I can get down the points and kind of digest the info a little bit, put it here, pick out some images to go along with it, and I can pretty much just repeat that until I run out of chapter. So that's really the process I go through to put these together, and trying to think if there's anything else you might need to know. No, that's really about it. So that's going to be the model that I will have you follow when you outline the chapter that you are going to get assigned. And then you're going to get to teach that and present it to the class. We'll start with me, and we'll go with whoever has the next one after that, and so on until we've got through chapter 25 and chapter 26. So that's all. Good luck. Have some fun with this.